Let's talk about that moment. That kind of weird experience you've almost certainly had with an AI by now. You know the one. You ask a simple, direct question, maybe you ask it again later just to check, and you get a different answer. It's a strange feeling, right? It can make the whole system feel a little shaky, maybe even unreliable. So, what is actually going on here?
Well, to really get to the bottom of this, we first have to talk about what we expect to happen when we're dealing with a computer, because our expectation is perfectly reasonable.
From your side of the screen, the whole thing seems totally straightforward. You're just asking a question. You need a fact. Simple.
And so, of course, you expect a straightforward, factual answer right back. I mean, for decades, we've been trained to think of computers like superpowered calculators or search engines.
This is really the heart of it, isn't it? It's our mental model for how computers are supposed to work. Consistency. You put the same thing in, you get the exact same thing out. Every single time. That's a completely fair assumption to make.
But then, you hit that moment of confusion. The one where that perfectly reasonable expectation just breaks. Let me show you a really clear example of what that looks like. Okay, so here's a simple, fact-based question. There should really only be one right answer, or at least a very stable one you can count on, right? But look at this. When this exact question was asked at different times, the system gave two different answers. One answer gives a number from 1 month in late 2021, and the other gives a totally different number from another month that same year. Same question, different facts. This is that mismatch moment where what we expect from a computer slams right into what the system actually does. So, what on earth is going on?
So here's the secret. The key to understanding all of this is realizing the system isn't broken. It's not making a mistake. This little bit of variation, it's actually built into the system on purpose.
Now, this is the part that really messes with our assumptions. We tend to think of these AI models like a giant search engine, that they're just digging through a huge database to find an answer that's already written down. But that's not what's happening. Not at all. Instead of finding an answer, the model is creating one from scratch, in real time, just for you. It's predicting the most likely next word, and then the word after that, and the one after that, building a whole sentence one piece at a time.
This whole process has a name. It's called probabilistic generation. It's not just grabbing an answer off a shelf. For every single word in its response, it's literally calculating the odds for what should come next.
Let's make this super clear with a really simple example from the source material. Imagine an AI sees this phrase. The students opened their... What word do you think is most likely to come next? And this visualizes it perfectly. Based on all the books and articles it's ever read, the word books is the most probable next word. No surprise there. But laptops and notebooks are also really good high probability options. The system doesn't have to pick books every time. It can, and often is encouraged to, pick from those other likely candidates to finish the sentence. Okay, so if this randomness is intentional, why even have it? Why not just make it pick the top choice every time? Well, it all comes down to a fundamental trade-off in how these systems are designed. You see, the people who build these models have a sort of control knob they can turn to manage this randomness. In the field, they actually call this setting the temperature. And here's the trade-off. If you set the temperature low, the model will almost always pick the single most probable word, like books in our little example. This gives you answers that are really consistent, predictable, and factual sounding. But if you turn that temperature up, you're encouraging it to pick from a wider pool of those likely words. And that's what allows for more variable, creative, and sometimes more imaginative responses. And that is the absolute main takeaway here. The ability to give a slightly different answer isn't a glitch. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's what's designed to make the model flexible enough to handle everything from writing a poem to summarizing a report.
Okay, so let's bring it all back and solve our original mystery. Why did the answer about Tesla's market cap change?
So first, we now know for sure it wasn't just looking up Tesla's market cap in some kind of digital encyclopedia. That fact wasn't just sitting there on a shelf waiting to be picked up. Instead, it was building an answer from the ground up, word by word. And based on all of its training data, there were actually a few very plausible ways to answer that question, each using slightly different numbers from different dates.
And because its internal temperature dial wasn't turned all the way down to 0, it had just enough freedom to generate one of those plausible answers one time and a different plausible answer the next time you asked.
So what this all means is that our initial confusion came from a totally logical place. We assumed the AI worked like a search engine, that it retrieves information. But its core design, generation, is fundamentally different.
In the end, what felt like a mistake or some weird inconsistency was actually this system working exactly the way it was designed to, with a built-in intentional level of variation. And knowing that core difference, that it's generating an answer instead of just finding one, well, this explains why the system behaved that way.